here's Brody Brazil.
Sometimes here on the YouTube channel, I'll make a video simply to identify a problem, as in point it out and let you know that it exists. However, this time around with this particular topic, I'm more interested in helping find a solution. Is it a big fix? Is there some small things we can do to help the television ratings of the NHL's Winter Classic? That's the outdoor games they hold typically right around New Year's Day. This year it was on New Year's Eve day at Wrigley Field between Chicago and St. Louis. But for the first time ever, this game on television drew fewer than 1 million viewers. Which, hey, the 1 million mark for an NHL regular season game, that's still a pretty good total. However, if you look at the trend and the decline over the years, it's becoming quite obvious that this game just doesn't have the same, and I'll use the word luster, as it used to. Some then and now. And this wasn't even the first outdoor game New Year's Day, January 1st of 2009. But we can take these as comparables because it was the same team, one of them, Chicago, in the same venue, Wrigley Field, on the first day of 2009. That game aired on NBC affiliates across the country. So the NBC National Network, not the NBC Sports Network, the cable channel, the NBC, big NBC channels across the country, 4.4 million viewers for the Red Wings facing the Chicago Blackhawks. Fast forward to a couple days ago, and the ratings have just come out for this game, New Year's Eve Day, 2024. Wrigley Field is the same venue, but 920,000 viewers for St. Louis and Chicago in a game that aired on Turner Sports, the TNT network, which is recently taken over as one of the television partners for the NHL. Now, I'm not here to say it's because of what channel it was on, but I do think there are some other factors about why this game drew less, and I'll get to those in just a second, but it's important you know, I just chose those dates as kind of mile markers. You can see here, through the graphic from Front Office Sports and the information from the Sports Media Watch, that these ratings have gone down from 4 million to 3 million to 2 million to now sub 1 million viewers this year for the first time ever. And as we gauge this, like, what is a success for the NHL? Well, largely you're going to sell out the venue because that's kind of a spectacle and it shouldn't be too hard to sell tickets. But this, it seems, is where the league is going to make its money, off of television revenue and rights. And if this were trending up, obviously it presents a much bigger opportunity for the NHL instead of trending down. It's almost a situation now of what do you do with the game? How do you change this? How do you make it so it's either interesting again or more watchable again, or you get these ratings and these numbers to go back up? I'm not a firm believer in television ratings to justify how something's going entirely, but they do give you an idea and a taste of a general picture of how things are going. Some possible reasons of why this game was the lowest watched outdoor, I should say lowest watched Winter Classic ever. And they do play several other outdoor games, right? There are Stadium Series games. There are Heritage Classic games north of the border, but the Winter Classic is the one that's usually played on New Year's Day. And this is the one that's kind of the bigger spectacle among television viewers in the United States. Is it maybe because the Blues are a mid team? Yeah, I'm using that vocabulary now. The Blues are a mid team this year, and Chicago's not very good at all. Yeah, they have Connor Bedard, but they're still very much a rebuilding group. Is it because the two teams didn't have much going on back and forth? Is it because it was a 6-2 final score? And as we look at the aggregate of viewers, maybe the beginning of the game had more viewers, and by the end of the game it tailed off because a 6-2 final score, a one-sided contest, it's not close, it's not interesting, it doesn't hold casual viewers. Was that some of the reason why the ratings were down? How about the fact that I think this game, and I'm a hockey person, trust me, in and around the hockey world, and I'm on social media and platforms where I knew this game was going to take place on New Year's Eve day, but I also realized that this game didn't have the overall all-out promotional blitz that the NHL could have put forward with this, and TNT could have put forward with this, and all the NHL's partners could have put forward with this. Again, I knew when it was. I was aware this was taking place, but I'm not sure that somebody who's a little bit outside the sphere, who's more of a casual fan, still a hockey fan, but maybe not in tune with every single thing going on with the league, I'm not sure they were aware that this game took place on a different day. And by the way, this game really had no new twists to it in terms of the broadcast, the game. We've already seen an outdoor game at Wrigley Field before, and also the fact that you're doing it on a different day. Now, I understand why the NHL had to alter the schedule here. They didn't want to compete with college football and bowl games, so they try and pick the spot that's good for them. However, the moment you change and the moment you go away from tradition, you're a lot harder to find for the casual fan, even the prototypical fan who's bred on repetition and knowing when to expect something, and it's different, and maybe you just don't catch their attention. But again, no new real twists, and I don't even have an idea of what a twist would be for the Stadium Series, for the Heritage Classic, or for this Winter Classic game. But if there's nothing new, if you've already done this before, the sell kind of isn't the same as it used to be, say, back in 2009. So let's talk about some possible remedies here. Number one, I think picking a traditional day and sticking with it is imperative. Now, whether that's New Year's Day, I realize that the NHL always takes the 24th, 5th, and 6th off. What if there was a Boxing Day, a Winter Classic every year? Now, you'd have to work with the league and the CBA and the Players Association because those days are mandated off. But is there a better way to pick a traditional day for this game? And so fans always know, hey, on this day, two teams are playing outdoors somewhere, usually in the middle of the day, and I'll be able to watch it. So I think the traditional day starts there. You should also, and I mean, there's no excuse for this, have it be the day's only game in the entire league, right? You can't have 6, 7, 8 other games going on. Oh, and this one. Nothing should step on this in terms of the entire day. The Winter Classic needs its own day. If you're really aiming for the ratings and you're really aiming for the spectacle and there's hockey fans out there, make this the only thing that they're going to want to watch. I mean, if you're a Leafs fan, you might tune into the Winter Classic to see Chicago and St. Louis, but you're also probably going to spend 2.5, 3 hours watching Toronto play later that night. And I don't know that everybody's got that time on their hands, even on New Year's Eve day. So it's got to be the only game in the league on that day. Also, I'm starting to realize that maybe doing the same site more than once, it just loses, again, I'll go back to the word luster. It loses the luster. We've already seen outdoors at Wrigley Field. We've already seen outdoors at Fenway Park. There's been some venues that have hosted this game and this outdoor hockey type of event multiple times. All right. And I hate to say you can't keep going back to the well, but if you're interested in ratings and capturing people's imagination, you can't keep going back to the well. Also, the fact that maybe every team should get a turn before you get repeat teams. Was it Chicago's 7th outdoor game that we just watched? And they've had 3 already alone in Chicago? To the point, you can capture more viewers across the United States. Maybe you need a little bit more West Coast love and influence. And I get it. You want the snowy scene of a Winter Classic, and I think that's why they're experimenting with doing it in Miami for next year, whenever all those details get hashed out. But you got to diversify just a little bit. So there are some simple measures, and I think that's what I just mentioned. How about some drastic measures? I realize people are talking about, hey, put this game on pause. Take a year or a couple years off of doing outdoor games. Like, that would be a departure. Now, obviously, they've already got their plan set for the next one, so we're talking they wouldn't even be taking games off now until 27 or 28 and 29. And how many years? Once you stop doing it, is it hard to get back into doing it? Do you cancel all of them? Do you get away from the Heritage Classic and the Stadium Series? I'm somebody who's been promoting the San Jose Sharks, my team, getting back into one of these outdoor game situations, because I do think it benefits the community, it benefits the fan base. There's a lot to it. Maybe it's just that you can't keep doing it with the same teams and the same venues. And again, what is the point of success? Is it attendance? Maybe. Maybe not. Is it the visuals? Maybe, maybe not. Is it the television ratings? That's probably the biggest potential for money making for all parties involved. Maybe you should only consider exotic, neutral site venues. And when I say exotic, I don't mean like tropical, warm with a beach, because I think that's what people imagine. I'm talking about how they did Tahoe in, was that 2021, right? I mean, play a game like that at a neutral site venue, and you kind of have to decide, all right, are we going to play in these big football stadiums and baseball stadiums where we can pack in 50, 60, 105,000, or are you doing it for the attendance, or are you doing it for the television audience? You could do a made-for-TV game, kind of like Tahoe was. It wasn't made for attendance because the pandemic was all the rage, right? So they didn't want people at the game. They wanted to just show it off on television. Maybe you need to decide, instead of doing this for the audience, which sometimes they don't have the best sight lines at these stadiums that are not meant for hockey games and hockey rinks. Maybe make it for the television audience more so than the fans actually in attendance. Anyway, I went, 10 minutes on trying to figure this out. I'm passionate about this. I hope this works. I hope this can change for the better for the NHL, but there's no question right now the ratings are doing what that arrow is doing, going in a downward direction, and I don't know how long the NHL will sit and watch that go until they either, number one, make some kind of changes, or number two, just decide to step away from the game for a certain period of time, or maybe for a long time. That's the end of this video. Thumbs up down below. I would greatly appreciate that. Helps me, this video, and this channel. Also, one more thing I could ask of you. Go down there and make sure that you hit that subscribe button. That way I definitely get to see you back here next time.